All right, let's talk about what makes a great teacher. You know, the ones you actually remember. We're going to uncover the secret sauce behind every single one of them. Because it's not just about being smart. It's about something more, something special, that turns their expertise into a light bulb moment for you. So, let's dive in.
We've all been there, right? You're sitting in a class, and the person up front is a legit genius, an absolute master of their field. But you're not learning a single thing. It's so frustrating. How can someone who knows so much be so, well, bad at explaining it? This is the core puzzle we're going to solve today.
And this puzzle has a name. We're going to call it the expert's dilemma. It's this baffling gap between knowing something inside and out and being able to actually share that knowledge with someone else. It tells us there's a huge missing piece in how we usually think about teaching.
Yeah, there's a definite missing link. You know, being a world-class scientist doesn't automatically make you a world-class science teacher. So what is it? What's that secret ingredient that separates the experts who can teach from the ones who, well, who can't?
Well, that missing link, that secret ingredient, it's the bridge. It's the conceptual bridge that connects what's in the expert's mind to what's in the student's mind. And it's the real solution to the expert's dilemma we've been talking about.
Okay, here it is. It's called pedagogical content knowledge, or PCK for short. Now, this isn't just knowing your stuff, and it's not just knowing how to run a classroom. PCK is the magic that happens when those two things fuse together. It is the very specific skill of taking a really complex idea and translating it into a way that students can actually get their heads around.
The researcher who first really nailed this down, Lee Shulman, put it perfectly way back in 1986. You need to know your subject deeply, and you need to know how to make it understandable to other people. One without the other, it just doesn't work. It's that simple.
So you can think of PCK as being built on three key pillars. First, you've got subject matter knowledge. That's knowing your history, your math, your biology, whatever it is. Then there's pedagogical knowledge. That's the actual art and science of teaching itself. And finally, you have curriculum knowledge, which is just knowing the tools of the trade, like what's in the textbook and what programs to use. A truly great teacher has all three of these on lock.
So if PCK is the what, let's get into the how. I mean, how do teachers with really strong PCK actually do it? Well, they have a whole toolkit of specific strategies they use to translate their knowledge into real learning.
And this is where the rubber meets the road. We're talking about powerful demonstrations, super clever analogies, clear illustrations, real-world examples, and even simulations. These aren't just random activities to fill time. They are very deliberate choices designed to make abstract ideas concrete and understandable.
Now, one of the most important tools in this whole kit is something that sounds simple, but it's actually incredibly sophisticated: strategic questioning. It's not about just asking a bunch of questions. It's about asking the right questions at the right time to really guide your students' thinking.
And you got to know that not all questions are created equal. You have lower order questions, which are basically fact checks. Think simple yes or no answers. But then you have higher order questions. Those are the game changers. They're open-ended and they push students to think critically, to analyze, to discuss. A teacher with great PCK is a master at using both.
And here's PCK in action. A student gives an answer that's partly right, partly wrong. Instead of just saying, nope, that's wrong, the teacher says, you are right about this part, but. See that? They validate the student's thinking before opening the floor for others to add on. It totally transforms a mistake into a learning opportunity for the whole room. That's a pro move.
Now, when a teacher gets really good with all these tools, they can do something truly special. They can tailor the entire learning experience for their students.
Because let's face it, not everyone learns the same way. A great teacher knows this. They use their PCK to adapt on the fly. For the visual learners, they'll pull up a chart. For auditory learners, they'll start a discussion. And for the kinesthetic learners, the ones who need to do stuff, they'll get them up and moving with a hands-on activity. It's all about meeting students where they are.
And that tailoring goes for the materials too. Why just read about a chemical reaction in a dry textbook when you can do it yourself in a virtual lab? Or why just learn a physics formula when a real-world case study can show you how it's used to design a roller coaster? This stuff makes learning feel relevant and, actually exciting.
And they even tailor how they check for understanding. It's not always about a big final exam. They'll use projects where students have to apply what they've learned, or performance tasks where they have to actually demonstrate a skill. This way, assessment becomes part of the learning process itself, not just a grade at the end.
Okay, so we've seen the what and the how of PCK. But let's close out with the big question. Why? Why is all of this so incredibly important?
Well, the impact is massive. It's right here. When a teacher has strong PCK, their overall effectiveness just skyrockets. Because the lessons are more interesting and make more sense, student engagement goes way up. And what happens then? The learning outcomes improve. Kids don't just memorize facts for a test, they actually understand things on a much deeper level.
So if you boil it all down, here's the takeaway. PCK isn't just some clunky academic term. It is the engine. It's the engine that drives truly effective teaching. It's the mechanism that takes all that knowledge in a teacher's head and masterfully translates it into a spark of understanding for a student.
And that brings us right back to where we started. I want you to take a second and think about the best teacher you ever had. The one who made a difference. What was their secret? I'm willing to bet it wasn't just that they were brilliant. It's that they had this incredible skill for sharing that brilliance with you. And now you know what it's called. That was their PCK.